to be making cone incense today with some really beautiful raw ingredients. What you're looking at is myrrh. You're looking at it in its raw form. This is how it's picked off the trees, and then this is a ground form. If you can't find it already ground, you'll have to do it on your own. And I use the raw form in a small bullet blender. It's a high-speed blender and it works the best. You can experiment with grinding, or you can use a little mortar and pestle and grind it. You'll have the best luck if you put this in the freezer for a couple of hours or so to get it nice and hard, and then it won't stick to your blender as much. It's very gummy when it's heated, so that's why you freeze it. You'll have better luck when you freeze it. So I want to walk you through each of the ingredients because they're very special. I know this myrrh comes from Somalia. I had the opportunity to meet the family. These are ancient trees that have been in this family for a very long time. I had the opportunity to meet them, so I'm familiar with the origin of this. It's always best if you can collect these raw ingredients from known sources, so you know that it's not being depleted or harvested to the detriment of the plant. It's rich, balsamic, and resiny in its fragrance. The ancient Hebrews used it to raise consciousness. They burned it in their synagogues. It was mentioned in the Bible many times. In fact, the perfume incense we're going to be making today is a very ancient one that was mentioned in the Bible several times. Myrrh is related to earth element. It's very grounding. It's also highly antiseptic. I use it in my toothpaste because it kills the bacteria in the mouth that cause tooth decay. So it's very antiseptic, both topically and burned in the environment. It helps calm and clear the thinking. And it's spiritually known as a funerary herb. In other words, they would burn it in funerals because it has the ability to ease pain and despair of loss. The next herb that you were going to be talking about is frankincense. It's also called olibanum. It grows in the Middle East and North Africa and China, and the word frank means fume or smoke, and incense, frank incense. So we know the word has been associated with using it in incense probably since the beginning of time, or since the beginning of when people started using it. This is in its raw form. They make tiny cuts in the trees and the sap runs to heal that little injury. And then they call them tears, frankincense tears. They collect these. We're going to be using it in a powdered form. So like the myrrh, you'll want to grind it, freeze it for a little bit, and then grind it in a high-speed grinder. This is how it'll come if you can't find it already powdered. A lot of times you'll be able to find it in the powdered form. It's probably one of the most important aromatic incense ingredients that there are. Incense was just a part of life in ancient Egypt. Frankincense is well known for its ability to relax and rejuvenate the nervous system, and it addresses both stress and the accompanying depletion and depression that comes with prolonged stress. The ancients used it in temple incense, and it was burned almost continuously. It has a very soothing and grounding effect on the nervous system and the mind. It's also associated with the earth element, and it helps you to focus your attention and calms the nerves. This is benzoin. It also comes in a resin form like the frankincense and myrrh that we've already discussed. This has been powdered. It has a very long history in incense and medicine. It was used in hospitals early in this country for over 200 years because it had a very potent anti-infectious property, and they used it to help treat respiratory issues. It has an expectorant quality to the lungs, and they used it to ease the effects of bronchitis and asthma. It comes from Southeast Asia, Thailand, and Indonesia. It has a very sweet, resinous, warm, vanilla-like fragrance to it. It's quite lovely. It's known to be very good for sedating a negative and overactive mind. And when you use it in an incense form, it helps bring emotions up to the surface for release. And it's very lovely and softening for anxiety. It will help you feel nourished and supported. They used these ingredients, this particular incense that we're going to be making, in temples, and they burned it almost continuously for a couple of reasons. One is so when people entered the temple or the church, they would feel an almost instant calm and grounding, that they could focus their attention, their minds, and be calmed and nurtured. And also, these ingredients were highly anti-infection. And also, because these ingredients all are very anti-infection, they would heal and cleanse the environment. You can imagine a lot of people spending time in the churches to worship. They wanted to make sure that the environment was pure and clean so that people wouldn't become sick congregating there in mass numbers. This is mako powder. It comes from a tree in Japan, and we're going to be using it as a binder for our incense. It's sort of like the glue that holds all the resins together. They take the bark of the tree and they grind it into a fine powder. It also helps to enhance the fragrance of all the other ingredients. For the water portion of our incense making, I'm going to be using lavender hydrosol. If you don't have a hydrosol, you can use purified water, distilled water if you wish, and you can add essential oil of lavender to it. Lavender is a lovely plant. It's a hardy plant, so it can grow pretty much anywhere all over the world. It's very soothing and calming herb as well. It's finer when you use essential oils. They have a heavier, more intense fragrance. The hydrosols are a softer, lighter sort of fragrance to them. They have kind of almost a honey odor to them. Lavender has a very nurturing quality to it. It's very lovely. The hydrosols are very lovely for inflamed skin, and honestly, they're the best for using on burns. I find the hydrosols on burns for the skin to be much more effective than the essential oils. They're lovely and help deepen meditation and integrate spirituality into everyday life. So that is why I chose lavender hydrosol for our water portion of the incense making. Okay, we're ready to start blending our ingredients together for our temple incense. You'll want to have a small little scale so you can keep track of your weights. I find keeping track of weight is a lot easier than trying to measure if you want a consistent product. And if you keep really good notes, it'll help you be able to adjust your recipe to your desires. You might find that you want more frankincense or more the benzoin after you've experimented a few more times with making these. So we have a ½ ounce each of the dried ingredients. This is the myrrh. This is the benzoin. This is the frankincense, ½ ounce of each. And then I'm going to use 1 ounce of the mako powder. Just use a wooden spoon and kind of incorporate all those ingredients together till you feel like they've been blended quite well. And then we're going to slowly add the hydrosol, just a little bit at a time till it comes together. So you'll want a fairly dry product so it doesn't stick all over to your hands. And at this point, it's going to take some muscle to incorporate the dry ingredients. I'm just going to take the rather moist part of it and just kind of work it in, pressing it into that dry powder that's at the bottom. Just kind of like almost like kneading bread. You don't want it too wet because, like I said, it sticks to your hands and it makes it harder to work with. So try not to add too much liquid. If you have added too much liquid, it's okay. You can go back and add more of the mako powder to dry your ball up a little bit. I think that's even still a little too moist. So have a little mako powder on hand. You want it a pretty dry, flaky, not too flaky, but you want a pretty dry consistency. Just takes a little bit of time to get it just right, and you'll get a feeling for it after your first couple batches. I want it a little bit drier even still. It already smells really lovely. I can really smell the myrrh at this point. But when you burn this, it's a very nice blend of all of the ingredients. This is a good time to add the essential oil. We're going to be using about 30 drops. Okay. That's the galbanum essential oil. And just kind of fold it in. That added a little bit of liquid to the ball, so I'm going to add just a little bit more of the mako powder. We want to be able to handle it pretty well without it sticking to our fingers, so that's about right. And you can always go back in and add a little bit of the dry ingredients if you need to. So we have a very, very nice, pliable, soft ball that's ready to be pressed into our cone form. Or you can hand form your cones. So I wanted to show you, if you wanted to hand form your incense cones, you want to take a little bit in your palm and make a nice small ball, and you'll want to form a tip and then just sort of press the bottom flat so you have a nice small cone. This is what a hand formed cone looks like, and this is what a cone looks like pressed into our cone shape. A little bit more uniform here, but they both burn the same and are lovely. So to make the cones shapes for the for the pad we have here with cone shape, we're going to do pretty much the same thing. It takes a little bit more. Make a nice ball. And I try to get a pretty thin cone shape at the top, and then you'll just press it into your form. A little bit shy on that one. Press it in firm so that it comes out in a solid piece. We'll do one more and then I'll fast forward. We'll fill the rest up. Okay, it's been 24 hours since we filled our cone mold. And what I'm going to do is show you what I do. I have a hat pin, and I kind of come in at an angle and gently lift the cones up, and then I give it another form just to make sure that our tips are nice and straight. And I do that to all of them. See, some of them come out a little bit malformed, so I just reshape them so they're nice and even. This is a nice one. These cones take anywhere from several days to a few weeks to dry thoroughly, and you'll know when they're dry when they light, and they don't smoke very much, and they stay kind of smoldering at the tip. I think because these are all natural ingredients, they don't really stay lit all the way through the cone for the most part. You'll have to kind of relight them as you go, which is okay because I think because there can be a lot of smoke, and you know, it's maybe not great to breathe that much smoke. So just a little fragrance in the room is what we're after. If you guys do not want to make the cones, but you want to play with the idea of having incense in your home, you can take the raw ingredients that we used, and you can buy these charcoal pieces. I'll unwrap it so you can see them. These are fairly large. They're little pieces of charcoal that you light, and they stay lit, they smolder, and then you set your cone incense in that little divot right there. I have these in the resources page for you guys to use if you don't want to make your cone incense. I'm going to go through these, finish these all up, and I'll be right back. Okay, we've got our cones resting. They'll sit for several days to a couple weeks to dry out completely. This is a little bit of a dense recipe, so it takes a while for these to dry out. I wanted to go through the recipe again. It's referred to as holy incense in the Bible several times. We're using a ½ ounce of benzoin gum, ½ ounce of frankincense, ½ ounce of myrrh, and 1 ounce of maca powder, and then 20 to 30 drops of galbanum essential oil. So I wanted to show you, this is one I made a couple of weeks ago. Because it has a lot of resin in it, it kind of melts more than it smokes. So I just wanted to show you. Use a candle to light it. You'll have a lot of thick smoke initially. You can see how it's kind of melting. I use a heat-proof container to put my incense in. I'm going to let it smoke for just another minute or so. Just a little bit. You have this lovely pungent, fragrant smoke coming up from your cone. It'll fill the room with this lovely scent, and it should go out in a little bit. I've rarely had them burn all the way through. You can easily relight them. I also wanted to show you how to use these charcoal tablets. You see they'll kind of spark as they're lighting. This will stay hot for a very long time. You'll see the spark will go all the way through the chip, the charcoal chip, and leave a pretty hot ember after it goes all the way through. But I wanted to show you, if you didn't want to use the cones, or you didn't want to make the cones, which I think make a lovely gift, by the way, for somebody. You just set these gum resins right on your charcoal. And that's another way to make your own incense. You can grind it the way we did to make the cone, and then just sprinkle the ground powder right on top of the charcoal puck. So I wish you guys could smell how amazing it is in here right now. It's lovely. So now that you have the basic recipe for making cone incense, or it doesn't even have to be a cone, you can form little pucks, or you can roll long pieces. It doesn't matter, cone. I just like them because I think they're really lovely, these beautiful shapes. I want to give you some ideas to make some other recipes. This is fir needles that I've pulled off the tree and taken the needles off the branches, and this is what it looks like when it's ground up. It has the most beautiful citrus, almost lemony, sweet smell, and is very reminiscent of Christmas time. This is some lavender branches. You can do the same thing, and this is some white pine that I had from a plant that I had growing last summer. So all these things can be ground up and pressed into either a cone or, like I said, another shape if you wish. I want to give you a recipe for using the the fir needles. You use 1/4 ounce of the benzoin gum that we've used in the previous recipe, 1 ounce of the fir needle, and I also like to, when you use vanilla in cooking, you can buy the vanilla beans, and you can split them down the center and scoop out all the seeds of the vanilla, and that is the most fragrant part of the vanilla that you can use in cooking, and you can save that. And then I like to dry out the vanilla pods and grind them with the fir needles. And maybe this recipe you could use 3 vanilla pods if you want to. You don't have to. And then I'm going to use 10 drops of fir needle essential oil. This recipe will make about 56 cones, and I like to put them in decorative jars in the house. And I have incense burning at least once or twice a day. Just a lovely way to bring fragrance into your home. I hope you enjoy this recipe and come up with some recipes of your own. Pretty much any floral aromatic plant that you can dry, you can make incense out of.